Joined by Bryan Hayes here in studio. Craig Button joins us from his home office in Calgary. For years now, we've heard the same thing at the end of another disappointing season by the Leafs. We believe in our core. We're going to do some tweaking, but we want to give this group another chance. Dramatically different talk today. Berube, Shanahan, Treliving all sang the same tune. It's now all about the team. What did you think when you heard them all say that?
I think it's an admission that in the past it was about star players. It was about the core four. But I also think this is positive PR. The Maple Leafs front office, they understand this is what the fans want to hear. It's been 8 years of Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and a lot of it has been positive. I understand the playoff lack of success, and that stands out. And ultimately, that's the legacy of these players and the organization. But for 8 years, they made the playoffs. A lot of individual success.
One playoff series win, though.
A lot of jerseys being sold. Fans are happy. Fans love these players.
Pelly said this is not about selling jerseys.
Well, listen, it was in the past, right? And again, I think this is a change of tune. But I think the fans are done with that. They're done with the window. They're done with individual success. They're done with believing that it could be done and it could actually win in the end. There's a conclusion here. It can't win. The core four, as it's currently constructed, especially the amount of money that is constituted to these players, it can't win. So it's got to come to an end. Actions will speak louder than words, though, right? It's one thing to say it in a press conference, a statement, look good, sound good, feel good. You have to follow through on this, and that's ultimately the pressure here. All right, you brought in Berube. Last year you brought in Treliving. That was change, but the players are still here. You still have the same playoff record. It's really time to get down to work now.
So, Craig, the new philosophy is now team first. How do you think that plays out in terms of the types of decisions that leadership make this summer and then moving forward?
Listen, I'm going to pick out one word that Bryan just used. The money. The money has created an imbalance with the roster. There is nothing wrong with Auston Matthews. There's nothing wrong with Mitch Marner. There's nothing wrong with William Nylander. But the problem is that the money allocated to those three, plus John Tavares, plus Morgan Riley, has created a roster imbalance. And when you have roster imbalance, you can have lots of success during the regular season. The regular season is not the playoffs. And when you get to the playoffs, 16 of the bottom teams are gone. And now you get to the playoffs and you're playing against really good teams. And when you play against teams that have balance, it becomes harder to win. And when you get to the playoffs and you're relying on less players to help you win, guess what? It becomes a lot harder to win. So for Brad Treliving and the Toronto Maple Leafs, this is about creating financial flexibility. They never had that. There's nothing wrong with believing in the players, and they performed brilliantly. This has been a decision made by management, the previous management. Brad Treliving has come in and inherited that. That clearly hasn't worked. They thought it could work. I never thought it could work. And the results have clearly shown it's not going to work. So when you want to win, it's a team that wins, and this team hasn't been constructed properly.
I think you're spot on, Craig. I will say Brad Treliving was here when Matthews got his new deal. Nylander got his new deal. Now, those are justified numbers, but Brad is involved in this as well, right? He committed to those two guys, and they're big numbers. But you're right, Craig. I think if you're a Leaf fan right now and you're bracing for what's coming this summer, money. They have to figure out how you're going to allocate the money, right? In a hard salary cap, it's a finite number, Gino. You know what you have to spend. And if you're going to move off Tavares, if not this year, definitely in the future, you got to find a second-line center. I think they need a third-line center. I think they need at least 3 new defensemen and possibly a number 1 goalie. That's a lot of player personnel turnover that's going to cost a lot of money.
Okay, so that's all down the future. That is who's coming into the team. What about the guys who are currently on the team? It was made clear Craig Berube is going to demand and will not accept anything less than accountability. Can this group handle that?
Yes, I think they can. I mean, let's be clear here. Craig Berube is not coming in to fight the players, right? He's not the boogeyman. This idea that he's going to come in and start bullying guys. He's going to love his players if they work hard and they play the right way and they win. He's going to love his players. He played over 1,000 games in the NHL. He knows what it means to be an NHL player. So I think it's being overstated a little bit, this accountability issue. Like he's lurking in the corner in Arizona right now, watching Auston Matthews to see if he's working out. Matthews, I think, has to buy in. Nylander has to buy in. Riley has to buy in. And if it's Tavares and Marner sticking around, ultimately those guys have to lead by charge. The coach can only do so much. Right? He can only do so much, right, Craig? It's got to be on the star players. They got to buy into this, too. So Craig's got to get the message across. Berube, not Button. And then the players have to be the ones that ultimately play it out.
Hey, Bryan, I can get my message across. And the message is real simple, okay? 69 goals. First team All-Star right wing. Consistency in terms of playing at a high level. That's William Nylander. Morgan Riley, John Tavares has played really well. I don't have any issue. What do you want now? You want to make Auston Matthews accountable so he can get 89 goals? Bottom line is, Auston Matthews, he was a finalist for the Selke Trophy this year. I had him in my top 3 in my voting. He's committed to being a better player. William Nylander, Mitch Marner. And certainly, when you're making that much money, the spotlight becomes brighter, the burden becomes a little bit bigger, and that's fine and dandy. But the team is not constructed good enough. And Craig Berube, who I love as a coach, I love as a person, him coming in here, if it's still the same roster imbalance, guess what? When they get against good teams in the playoffs, they're going to have the same results. I also believe this is a 12-month exercise. You're not going to be able to do everything you want to do, in my view, in the immediate future here. Yes, you may be able to move some dollars out. You might be able to make some trades. But I think this has to be looked at as 12 months. Craig Berube gets comfortable with the players. The players that are going to make up this roster, the core of this roster, are going to get comfortable with Craig Berube. But the machinations of the roster are going to be a result of the work by Brad Treliving and his group to get roster balance. And if they get that, I'm not worried about the top players. If they don't get it, I guess you can blame whoever you want, but for me, it always starts at the top.
As a point of reference, Craig Berube finished his playing career with 3,149 penalty minutes, 7th all-time on the NHL list, and 303 fights. That ranks 5th on the NHL's all-time fights list. So anyone that may have problems with him making them accountable, good luck with that.